Hey guys, welcome to our first episode on the Deltree YouTube series. Today we're going to be focusing on 7 tips on how to film a protest. Everyone kind of has a camera now. We want to take some of our experience we've had at Deltree shooting in Syrian refugee camps and also at very dangerous protests. We were there almost a year ago at the Alton Sterling protests in Baton Rouge. But what we wanted to dive in today was 7 tips on how to film a protest.
So you wanna get the energy of the people.
Try to interact with people and see how they're feeling. That way you can really capture what they're truly feeling.
Get the emotions. Yeah. This is actually my first protest that I'm shooting.
So we went out to the May Day Resist protest and we got a lot of filmmakers' thoughts on and tips on how to film a protest. Well, for our first tip, what I want to start out with was knowing your goal. When you're creating a video, you should have a goal in mind, like whether it's I want to create 1 million views, or I want to raise awareness, or I want to get people to buy a product. And with a protest video, you should kind of think about what your goal is, and really and that entails your role, because that will help determine everything else.
If you want to capture the emotion, the reason behind it all, is dip in there and don't be afraid to step in front of somebody and capture the moment, because that's what we're here for.
I want to show that immigrants aren't just Mexican Americans, but that they're also Belizean, that they're queer. So I want to tell diverse stories of immigrants.
So for our second tip, we want you to stay health focused first. A couple of tips: staying hydrated, little things like sunscreen or protein bars. Just make sure you kind of like an evacuation plan. You're thinking through, you have all your materials that you may need beyond camera equipment for filming a protest.
Drink water.
So for our third tip, it's important to focus on safety. Safety first, or in this case, safety third. But basically the idea is that you want to understand the rules of the protest, what's going on, so you can respect that. If you're doing shots where you're like backing up, you want to make sure you have a spotter in place, or ideally have someone that's kind of watching your back so you're not tripping over things or bumping into other people. Safety is not just about protecting the health and wellness, it's also about emotionally respecting other people as well.
Be respectful and know the rules of the protest. Like certain protests people can't get photographed, so make sure you're respectful of that.
But it is absolutely also being aware of the law and being aware of the police lines, being aware of what the organizational rules are, where you're supposed to be marching, if there are any boundaries for the journalism and the press.
Dress accordingly. Just blend in. You don't want to get beat up if something happens. And have your equipment ready to go.
Always know where your police line is, know how to get there, and how to get behind it in case things go bad. It's that simple.
And that rolls right over to our fourth tip, which is understand the law. And the biggest things here, I think, as we said, is to make sure you're cooperating with authorities. Your job as a journalist, unless you're there as a protester, your job is to observe what's going on, not to get in conflicts with protesters or certainly the law.
Don't piss off the police. And if you are a part of the protest and you get arrested, even if you're photographing, don't say you're a journalist, because like an image of you chanting in a police report could screw over journalists across the world.
It may be best to kind of think about streamlining your gear for a situation like protest.
I try to have a minimal kit, a bag that doesn't have too many things to attach to, so that I can grab one or the other depending on what I need.
One thing is to make sure, obviously, you've got battery power, you've got everything working, backup.
So I guess my tip for people who are filming a protest is get a wide lens and a long lens, and stick your wide lens up in the air and see how much you can get.
So for our sixth tip, get quality. As we see a lot of protest videos coming on to YouTube, we have a lot of people with DSLR rigs and cameras. You need something that's going to distinguish yourself out there in the market with your footage. And really, to fine-tuning your documentary cinematography skills is really going to help you understand. So, we have a lot of tips from people on the day of our May Day protest filming, so I'll let them speak to it.
Go for what you think people really want to see.
Really try to connect with the emotion of the day, what's going on, and slow motion's awesome.
Give people signs. I think also getting people's emotions are important as well. There's a lot of different emotions happening in this crowd today. And I think just paying attention to the little stuff, I think is really important, and that's what I'm going for.
Thing is to get up on high, so you can get the establishing shot, right? Then go with a close-up and talk to people. That's the best thing.
And for number 7, our final tip, tell a story. The most important thing about your video is it should really have some sort of narrative concept, something people can latch their brains onto. So when they're watching it, maybe you're following a specific protester into the fray, maybe you're framing a specific issue, maybe you're trying to capture the drama of a specific violent incident, maybe you're trying to focus on the dynamic between the law enforcement and the crowd of protesters. But think about what your goal is, think about what your story is.
Interview people, ask people what their story is and why they're there.
Just to have powerful images that people can see that there's other people standing up, especially for people who can't stand up.
Honestly, just to let everyone who's watching know how united we are as a people, and I hope that encourages other people to protest as well.
Feel it in your heart, shoot with your gut.
Capture what feels good in your heart, ultimately, but keep the story in mind. Thanks, that's it. That's all we've got for our episode today. If you have any suggestions or ideas for future how-tos, hit the subscribe, comment below, hit the like button, and we'll see you on our next episode.